Hi everybody, welcome back to Bethenaeum. My name is Ellie Marie and today I have 4 ways that you can write every day. Alright, so by the time that this video comes out, I'm actually going to be a video behind on my posting schedule because I had some family stuff happen this past week and that I've had to deal with. So I'm going to try to post a video today, a video tomorrow, which is Wednesday, and a video again on Friday, which is my regular schedule. So let's see if that works out. Now, in our last video, we talked briefly about ways to incorporate writing into your everyday routine, tips for fitting that in and finding a place for it. And so today we're going to talk about 4 ways that you can write every day. So my first way for you to write every day is to write poetry. And I know that I've said this in the past and that a lot of times poetry really kind of turns people off and people are like, oh no, poetry. But really, like I've said before, poetry is a lot more flexible than people initially realize. Poetry doesn't need to be rhyming. It doesn't need to have a rhythm or a rhyming scheme to it. Poetry can be just free verse poetry, which is basically when you just write what comes to mind and it becomes poetry. Poetry is often something that I suggest to people when they're having trouble thinking of what to write because it's actually very liberating once you get into it, and it can be very just free-flowing, and it is almost easier to write sometimes than journaling, although it can be a variation on journaling, which leads us into our second tip. And my second way for you to write every day is to journal. And I know that I mentioned poetry can oftentimes be a little bit easier than journaling, but for some people they find that journaling is the easiest way to write every day. And I'm not talking about writing down all your thoughts on 3 pages of a journal every day. I'm talking about a brief 2 or 3 sentence, this is what I did today, this is what I'm grateful for. And those kinds of writings can be good because they help you reflect slightly on what your day was like. And if you keep a journal that you go back in and write in a little bit every year on the same day, you will find that you will have things that you are grateful for listed that you can look at for the previous years, which is always encouraging and always a great way to either start or end your day depending on when you decide to journal. So journaling is my second way that you can have a little bit of writing in your life every day. My third way that you can write a little bit every day is to write a short story. And I know that that kind of goes against the whole NaNoWriMo thing that we're doing this month, but sometimes you will find that writing a short story, much like poetry, can be very liberating. You're not bound to the same writing standards that you are for a longer work. You can leave plot holes, you can leave some things that are undone. Your characters don't need to be as deeply established, and neither does your setting. And so writing short stories sometimes can be just a fun way to explore a new idea that may lead to something longer, like a novel or a biographical work. And that's fine, but short stories are also justified on their own, and you can even find that you may write several short stories and you have a collection, and those can also be sold and published and marketed as their own collection of works. And so if that is your goal, is to write things to be marketed and published, short stories can actually be a great way to do that. They don't require quite as much commitment as a novel, but they do allow you to explore and practice your novel writing skills. All right, so number 4, and my final way for you to write every day, is to try your hand at some academic writing. And I know that that sounds silly, and that is like, oh, that's totally not at all what you've talked about in the past. And you're right, it's not. And part of that is for a reason. I'm trying to introduce new content, and we are eventually going to have a whole video series on academic writing, because academic writing is part of my passion and it's part of what I want to help you with. And so academic writing is an interesting thing because it's often not something that a lot of writers just naturally gravitate towards. Usually a lot of people who write prefer fiction or nonfiction, which is not the same as academic writing. So in my encouragement to you, and as this being our last way for you to write a little bit every day, is to encourage you in academic writing. And basically that's kind of like writing a research paper, And I know that that doesn't sound like a lot of fun, but you can do academic writing without doing research. And one of the best ways to do this, especially if you're like me and you like to read, is to write a literature analysis. And I will go a little bit deeper into literature analysis in one of our future topic explorations. So fear not, I will lead you through that in a future video, probably next month sometime. But in the meantime, do a little research. Find out what a literature analysis is and see if it's something that would interest you. You may find that writing literature analysis actually increases your ability to write your own fiction and your own original works because you understand how fiction works as a genre overall more, and it makes more sense, and so it comes more naturally, and you may find yourself incorporating some of the things that you learn about different works that you analyze into your own stories, and that can be good. It can be very helpful. So that is my fourth way for you to write a little bit every day, is to work on some academic writing, specifically maybe some literature analysis, since it is a little bit easier and less formal than a research paper. Those are all of my tips that I have for you today. I hope that you enjoyed them and maybe had something spark a little bit of interest and something that might help you in putting together your schedule for writing a little bit more every day. And I'd like to take this moment to ask you to subscribe, and don't forget to ring that little bell so that you get notified when I upload new videos, which on a normal week is every Tuesday and Friday. And I look forward to seeing you out there and what you create. And if you are working on your NaNoWriMo, I want to encourage you. You can do it. Even if you've fallen behind, continue to try to hit those word counts. You can do it. And I will see you all out there. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Thank you very much, and I appreciate all of you. Bye.